One, two, three. Good evening. Good evening all. Today we are at Monza for round 6 of the Super TROFEO TROFEO set competition league, with Hans Race setting the fastest time so far, 154.2 seconds. He was running about a 153 during practice not so few minutes ago, with Trigger setting, not Trigger, Weekend Racer setting the absolute fastest time during practice. Trigger now topping the times with 154.2, only 6,000th of a second here in front of Panzer Race. We will see these four at the front of the big time very tight by the end, so that's going to be Trigger, Panzer Race, UK Sim Racer, and We've Playing Racer. Time will be very close as well, not too far behind. Weekend race crosses the line. He is now second, only 700ths of a second behind Panzer Race, who's already set a 1:53.5. That is now the fastest time on the grid for qualifying at this point in time. I expect this grid to slowly get closer and closer as the time ticks down, with only 12.5 minutes remaining. Following weekend race around car number 52, which is Sean Pizza, just going off after Scary. Glen Racing now coming around to finish the second lap. Panzer Race did improve in the first lap. Glen Race is currently just under 5 tenths of a second up, so he is going to be taking first position by 3 tenths of a second. Only drivers left on grid 2 settle up is Sign and Toronto Fan, as whoever normally is watching would normally see Wonder, who is organising this event, as he is not here. He has been caught up at work. Front of WeFan Race just went off, and I think that was UK Sim Racer just putting it in the barrier. Hop on with another driver. Let's hop on board with Sam as he is on a flying lap. So I'm getting a bit squirrely going through the Lesmos. Sam is currently just over 2 tenths up on his time, so might just put him in front of you because it's by a couple hundredths of a second, not by a couple thousandths of a second here. Evening, you alright? No, you're right. So if you just go up into the party and just include your audio at the top, just in the little box, just need the ticket. That's all you need to do. And then your audio is included, and I'll send you the password to the server in a minute. Because you put a different password in. What? Yeah, don't put the normal password in. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's not the normal password to get into the server, so just give me a minute. I've just sent you it on Discord. Yeah, if you just type that in into the server, it's just type KFRL into the search bar for the server. I'm sure you know how to do that on ACC, and then just use that password to get in. It's just a different one you've got to use to do spectate. So We Flame Racer is now first with a 153.1, and Panzer Racer is only a tenth behind him still. Simon is just under a second, only 4 thousandths of a second behind We Flame Racer there. Just a little over 6.5 minutes remaining of qualifying before the race starts. With it being 1 hour race, there is no pit stops allowed unless it's for severe damage, so they have to fuel up all of the way and have sufficient tyres to do the whole race. So they can't go out on lap 1 and just absolutely burn them away. Hold on, give me 2 secs. It's updated, so it's updated now. You can do basically anything. So if you go on to, hold on, let me just get it up on my screen. If you go on to settings and controls, just tell me when you are. Yeah, that's fine. So if you go all the way down to where it says cycle camera, cycle TV camera, and whatever, it's about a quarter of the way down from the top. It's under the title view, yeah. If you just assign, just assign one of those each button, so cycle camera, cycle TV camera, and then cycle on board. If you just assign one of those each, and then just add a new save for control binds. I just put spectator because it's what it's used for, and then you can just cycle through all the camera views after you press drive. So you select a driver, and then you just press drive and cycle through the cameras. They just return to garage, and then select a new driver. So I'm going out on another flying lap now. See if he can improve his time. Yellow flag ahead, being 88 of Toronto fan. Oh, no, We Flaming Racer going off in front instead. Syme goes around almost. Yeah, then so just click on one of the drivers and then just press drive, and then you can just click on one of those buttons. I normally just set on set 1 of TV cameras, set 2 or set 1 or set 2. It says in just above where the speedo and RPM is on the right hand side. I don't know who is. There is no number 7. Oh. Oh yeah. I think majority are 88 Toronto fans going around to do a lap. No, he's going into the pit lane. Great time. Currently Simon on a fastest lap, or going for a lap, so is We Flame Embracer, and as Shown Pizza is coming out. Yep, and that is We Flame Embracer. And Panzer Race in second, UK Sim Racer in third, all covered by a second. Oh, Simon is also within a second, Toronto fans within a second, and Trigger's just missing out there by 800ths of a second behind We Flame Embracer. Yeah, so is Simon, Trigger. Ronda is normally up there as well, but of course he's not here this week due to work. Just on board with We Flamer Racing now, just watching him go through the Lesmos. Lesmo 1 there, Lesmo 2. These corners are especially tricky, especially in these cars, if you get them completely wrong. Any car really, if you get it wrong, you're either ending in the wall or the gravel on the outside or on the inside of the circuit, so it never will end well. Invalidated is then. It's not improved yet. Improved, there you go. No, don't worry about it, mate. Oh, so... yeah. We Flame Racer goes across the line, doesn't improve, but he is already up on the lap that he's on it, even though he's only just crossed the line. Has got a little bit more speed going into T1 here. Gets braking point a little earlier than he would normally. Taking advantage and getting a faster exit out of the first chicane. And already a 10th up, just over. There we go, with qualifying finished now, all the drivers that are on a flying lap are the last ones to start and finish a flying lap. So that will be Panzer Race, We Flaming Racer and Shown Pizza, the only 3 drivers left on the circuit. The first to cross the line will be number 46, which will be Panzer Race. He only really needs a 10th of a second to beat Panzer Race. So he only needs to be a 153 dead, if anything, to get any better. So let's see if Panzer Race either pulls into the pit lane or continues to finish the lap. He is going to continue to finish the lap. No improvement. Now we Flame a Racer. No, you're alright. No, you're fine so far. He's going to finish it. Must be either up or down here. He improves by 5 tenths. 5 tenths of a second he improved there. That was absolutely amazing lap by him. So let's just hop over to Shown Pizza just to finish his final lap. As he improves his lap. That is not bad at all. So let's just go over the positions of all the drivers in the championship. So UK Sim Racer has 170 points in first. Second place is Trigger with 166. We Flame Racer in third with 158. Fourth with 147 points. Ronda, who is not racing tonight, has fifth with 130 points respectively. Panzer Ace in sixth with 108 points. Giant Pizza with 92 points in seventh. King Kitch, who isn't racing tonight, in eighth with 52. W1E Passion, who isn't racing tonight, in ninth with 44 points. KRL Carrera, who is not racing tonight, in 10th with 34 points. Zero Sniper still not racing tonight, in 11th with 28 points. Warboy in 12th with 28 points. Toronto Fan in 13th with 28 points. He is racing. W1 Painting with 22 points, and he's not racing either. Then the team championships is the Likely Lads in first with 317, and that is, if memory serves me correctly, UK Sim Racer and Syme in second position for the team standings in Kleinfield Racing, which is Ronda and Trigger with 296 points, so only 21 points behind the Likely Lads, but of course Ronda isn't racing tonight, so they're going to lose out on a fair few points. Dutchman Racing in third with 250 points, fair way back. Diva Racing even further back with 170 points in fourth. West One Esports in fifth with 96 points. British American Racing with 62. The new team that still hasn't named themselves with 28 points, and W1 at Monsoon in 8th with 22 points. That's all the teams that we currently have. So I don't know. We are round 6, but they haven't raced everyone, so that team is primarily for the reserve drivers that don't have a team or haven't said they'll be a reserve driver for any of the teams. So one of them just said, look, I'll be a part of this team. So with 30 seconds now, the drivers have to press drive to allow them to start the race, otherwise they will start from the pit lane. As I also do press drive now, so I am able to use all the spectating cameras. With this being only a short warm-up lap, they are only going to have Parabolica to warm their tyres up and brakes to go down into T1 chicane. Okay. Normally it's Panzer Race, We Flame Racer, or Syme who like to just bomb it down the inside. So, wait and see. Panzer Race just... Definitely. I am going to use Helicam here because it will give us a better view of all the cars at the same time as they start all rolling. As we are rolling up to the line for the start of an hour race. Track time is 3 PM and 2 minutes past 3.
Green light, show them where you go.
And there we go, green, green, green. And here we go. We Flame Racer getting the jump, and Panzer Racer and UK Sim Racer side by side going down into T1. This could be very interesting. Two abreast in the back. All UK Sim Racer keeping. Panzer Ace has locked a position to UK Sim Racer. And Syme and Trigger still side by side going through turn 3. Coming up to the second chicane now with We Flame Racer with a considerable lead. UK Sim Racer not too far behind. Panzer Race directly behind UK Sim Racer and Trigger and Syme. Ooh, who's that? UK Sim Racer spins. Panzer Racer and Syme and Trigger very, very close together. Yeah. Yeah, the timing screen on there takes a while to update. You've got to wait to each timing line, which is 3 times a lap. Yeah, pretty much then. So Reflame Racer out in front, Panzer Race being chased down by Syme. Pit lane open throughout the whole of the race, just in case any driver does need to stop for any reason. But they are not. They shouldn't be pitting for fuel or tyres, as it is a non-pit stop race. Toronto Fan, Trigger and Syme all very close together on the rear bumper of Panzer Race. Panzer's doing everything he possibly can to increase the gap between himself and Syme. The gap's still 9/10 of a second. Reflaming Racer still increasing the lead between Panzer Racer and himself. Now just under 2 seconds. Keeps flickering between the 2 times. But consistent 1 or so seconds between Syme and Panzer Racer now. Just a little lower as well. Toronto making a mistake. Was that Scary? Yeah, making a mistake on the exit of Scary, so UK is going to be quite happy that another car's made a mistake to where he is able to start catching up a little bit. Of course, it's an hour race and no one can win it on the first lap unless you're Reflaming Racer. These cars are going to be heavily fueled down for these first few laps, so it's going to be, well, for a good half an hour or so until they can start putting in their laps that they were doing in qualifying, mid 53s or so. Fan definitely taking those sausage curbs going through the second chicane there. Definitely trying to cut the course a little bit. Just can't do it too much over those. Oh, we're about to Trigger then. Oh, Trigger just getting out of the way of showing pizza there. Not Scary. Lesmo's. Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, so he went around it in between Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. So Toronto right behind Trigger right now. Trigger's defending, going to the inside for Ascari. Toronto Fan outbrakes him. Oh, but Toronto Fan puts himself in the gravel and jumps across the curbing as well. So Trigger will have the upper hand here, going down this back straight towards Parabolica. A little bit more speed than Toronto. Trigger has made the move into Parabolica, but can he keep it under braking? Toronto Fan gets past under braking, but Trigger's going to undercut him, hopefully, towards T1, with Toronto taking it a little bit wide. Trigger's, of course, going to have the slipstream here, so is this all a good plan from Trigger? No. Trigger is getting past under acceleration and also gets past UK Sim Racer there, so There we go. Toronto still in front of Trigger here. Only just as each corner goes past. Toronto taking a little bit of the gravel with him, but not enough to slow him down too much. Oh, Trigger having a snap of oversteer there, putting him into the grass and almost switching back into the wall on the inside of the circuit. Toronto fan not having the greatest line through Lesmo 2 either. There's good places and bad places. Trigger's going around at the end of Fiscari as this camera nicely cuts it off. Always a great move, but Trigger has now dropped to the back of the field. Unsure if he's got any damage at all, but Toronto fan is now clear of all of it, and Trigger has ended up in the wall, it seems. Let's just go on a couple cameras to see if there's any significant damage. Oh, into braking, here we go. Panzer Ace is on the inside, so he's got the advantage going into the corner, but gets the curb, and Simon's slow going round T2 there. Just taking a little bit of that gravel at the exit of the right-hander of that second chicane there, with Trigger quite significantly behind everyone now. Simon going quite wide through Lesmo 1. And Elias has done something at the second chicane. It seems to be just spun around or something, as he has dropped back quite a bit now. Trigger is going to be catching him quite quickly now, so he may take advantage of that. Just going back on board with Panzer Ace inside. Just looking out of the rear wing of Syme here towards Panzer Ace to see if he can make a move into T1. It seems to be that Panzer is about a second behind on that lap, so he's 0.9 of a second behind Syme going into T1 here. Actually gets a little bit. Yeah. Definitely going to see an instant. I'll go for it. Just going to say, definitely going to see an instant report after that. Might see a penalty or something for one of them, depending on whose fault it was for that. Gap between Simon and Panzer Ace has now dropped to 6 tenths per second. Caught up during 3 tenths during that first sector there. Coming up to the second sector, going into Ascari, looking backwards, still off of Simon's car, with again at the second chicane. Panzer Ace did go quite wide on the exit of Ascari there, so not sure on how much that is going to damage his lap time here. Just go on board with Simon to see how close he actually is. Yeah, so he's now dropped back to just under 2 seconds, so he's not going to be best pleased with that. with Simon setting faster laps every lap as it goes past, as he's able to get even more air between him and Panzerace. Last lap was a 1:54.3, so it's only just over a second a bit off of what they were all doing in qualifying. So I'm going quite deep into that corner though, so Panzerace has caught a couple tenths of a second there. Do that too many times, you will find yourself with the drive-through. Definitely. Well, with Elias's lap being a 2:17, I think it was, he's about 20 seconds off the pace on that lap. So of course he did spin on the second chicane, which definitely increased that gap between himself and Trigger. Trigger's probably being quite thankful for that, but now Trigger's got to get his foot down and catch up to Toronto Fan, who is 20 or so seconds in front of him. So Simon Panzerace with quite a big gap now. Going on board with Sham Pizza, with UK Sim Racer only a second, a little bit behind him. Sham Pizza going quite wide there at the end of Ascari. UK Sim Racer is only 1.2 seconds behind him, and Toronto Fan being only a little bit over 4 seconds behind Sham Pizza. Everyone's got their own little way of taking each corner, so it just depends on who's got the better corner entry and corner exit speeds. Of course, UK Sim Racer is going to have the slipstream going down this entire straight here. Sham Pizza's got to be careful if there is going to be any late lunge down the inside or on the outside. Oh, Sham Pizza's made a mistake into T1, and UK Sim Racer's managed to get past as UK Sim Racer hobbles over the bumps there. So oh, Toronto Fan off in the background. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you there. Toronto Fan just going off at Lesmo 2 there, going out into the gravel and directly hitting the wall head on, so it looks to be his front end is heavily damaged. Not sure if he is going to continue or not, with Trigger almost doing the same thing, getting quite squirrely, but no, he has just left the session, so not sure if there is any penalties for leaving the session in the middle of a race. We'll have to find out after the race. But now down to 7 drivers with 44 and a half or so minutes to go, with the current grid of Weave Flame Racer, Panzerace, Sime, UK Sim Racer, Sham Pizza, Trigger and Elias. That is the 7 drivers who are remaining now, with 15 minutes gone from when we started. So UK Sim Racer quicker by 2 seconds compared to Sham Pizza, but of course Sham Pizza did make that mistake into T1 with the slow car in front. It seems to be that Panzerace has made a mistake into T1. Unless there was contact, so. Panzerace was in front of Sime, wasn't he? We'll have to find out later. Or was he? Yeah, good point. What these guys do, or KFRL ones, or what? Which races you on about? Real life ones, or on here? Oh yeah, they are quite close, aren't they? I've not seen too many of them, but I've seen them every so often. It feels quite spread out like this, isn't it? Second or two between each car. Oh, not like here, because here it's only 7 to 10 drivers each race most of the time, so Man's race was 4 seconds slower that lap compared to everyone. So I'm presuming. Oh gosh. Let's just have a quick hop on board with them. He is already. Oh, he's. There we go. He's in there now. Of course, you can only repair severe damage or very, very heavy damage, which this looks like it to be with possible punches everywhere. I'm always the person to get a punch during any race, so. Yeah, it's 40 minutes. 40 odd minutes. Oh, Champetes makes a mistake just going out of the Scarra there, just getting a little bit loose there. Nothing to be concerned about. Didn't lose any time at all. As usual, at the end of the race, we will get the top 3 in just for a quick chat, just to see how they got on during the race and see what they have to say. I'm going to guess he's got a good 50 or so seconds of damage. Yeah. Of course, there was the time he was behind and everything, so I would have guessed about a minute or so of damage at least. And then you've got to include all the time driving through the pit lane and everything, so it's not out too far behind Trigger. Only 10 seconds or so. So we're now realised being a complete lap down, he won't see. As long as he finishes, he will still be given the point, so that's his aim now. Just keep the pace up just in case anyone has to pit for any damage or spins out one too many times, allowing him to unlap himself. Just still on board with Flame Racer here, setting consistent laps of 155s each lap, just making sure that he's got enough fuel for the end of the race and enough tyres, not pushing too hard, with Syme 13 and a bit seconds behind, Panzer Ace being the next fastest driver, also 15 and a bit seconds behind. Panzer Ace just did a 154.7 with Syme doing 3/10 slower there, so may see a little battle middle of the race or so. Yeah, 1.3, 1.4, They are closing quite quickly now. Just going to go off the rear wing of Syme here as he goes slightly wide out of Lesmo 1 going into Lesmo 2. So Panzerrace has caught up just a couple tenths there. Now just over a second with 1.1 between them. Oh, the game can't decide if it's a second or 1.1 seconds here, so just have to wait until they get to the next timing line to get a really good reading on this. 0.9 of a second's going into Ascari. Who can go through Ascari quicker and safer without going off. Of course, you still don't want to push too much during this period of the race, because you still have to go for another 30 or so minutes. And of course, the tyre's still got to last till the end of the race. 1.1 seconds going into Parabolica, and it's going to stay the same, it looks, throughout. Slightly increasing to 1.2 seconds, very, very minimal. Yeah. Normally a good rule is you've got to be within sort of a second or so to get some good slipstream. There we go, Panzerrace caught up by quite a significant amount there as Syme takes a really bad line and back braking point through the first chicane. These two are always really competitive throughout all the races so far. They've been right next to each other throughout the whole time, no matter the position really. Of course, We Flaming Racer being the alien of all these guys, being able just to pull away like that on the first 10 minutes or so, with the rest of the guys not being able to get clear of anyone. 8 tenths of a second here, so Panzerrace has managed to stay with Syme. Oh, Panzerrace. Panzerrace going to stay in slipstream the whole of this straight here, hopefully. Going side by side, need a different camera. Side by side going over the line there. 155 for Panzerrace and a 156 for Syme. Syme slightly slower that lap, but as we come into the braking point for T1, Panzerrace nails the braking point. Syme brakes a little bit early there, just to make sure there is no contact, but just so he's able to keep a clean line going through there, as Panzerrace's line would have been compromised as he was on the inside. As we go into the second chicane, Panzerrace has managed to pull just under a second gap between Syme and himself. Just go on the front bumper of Syme to watch Panzerrace. Oh, getting a little loose coming out of Lesmo 1. Syme going on the aggressive to try and get that second position back from Panzerrace. Syme going onto the curb using as much track as he possibly can without being penalised for it. Saying that going into the gravel, but you won't get penalised for that as he did lose some time there. But he is going to be still in slipstream for Panzer, still within a second or so. He wants to get this next lap absolutely perfect to make sure he doesn't lose out anymore. 8 tenths of a second Panzerace was that lap, so not sure on how much Panzerace is going to be able to pull away over the next few laps, just to make sure Stein can't catch him for the next half an hour. Just over a second gap still, so there's still no change in that gap. 1.5 seconds now, so Panzerace taking a cleaner line through there. Oh gosh. This is not Trigger's race today at all. He wasn't enjoying it during practice earlier. He was saying his car was very, very loose throughout all of the corners, especially through Parabolica. So he wasn't enjoying this race too much. Of course, how do you say it? Elias still has another lap to do before he can start attacking anyone, really. Oh, hold on. Trigger has just been lapped now. Trigger is in the pit lane, so didn't even notice that, sorry. About Elijah is coming up to the second chicane now, so Trigger has got a little while until he is going to be in danger of being lapped or being overtaken by him. Staying pretty consistent, can't deny it's now down to staying about the same, 1.5 for the last couple of laps. Yeah, there we go, halfway through the race now. There we go, so current standings are We Flame Racer, Panther Race, Sim, UK Sim Racer, Showing Pizza, Trigger a lap down, and Elias is 2 laps down now, I think. There we go, Trigger is out to the pit lane now. I think Elias is going to be lapped very shortly as well. Still with just still staying very consistent, still 1.3 seconds between them, so that gap's not going to reduce anytime soon unless Sim starts making mistakes again like he is, so that's now up to 2 seconds gap now, so that's a 155.0 from Panzerace, 155.8 from Sim, so 8 tenths per second different there, but that was just because Sim went off at the end of the straight, end of Parabolica there. Going into braking, Panzerace has still got a little bit more confidence than Sim does for this race. It's going to be a very, very close battle to the end of this race. So with Elias now being lapped by We Flame Racer, who is still in first from the very start of this race, hasn't dropped in position or any time to the cars behind as they have been fighting their own battles. Still 21.3 seconds in front with Flame Racer is of Sim, just a couple of seconds less for Panzerace behind him. You UK Sim Racer driving his own race right now, so is Showing Pizza in 4th and 5th, as they were fighting previously during the race. And then Trigger, of course, in 6th position, who has been lapped. Oh, that's in the barrier for Simon then. In the barrier at Parabolica, so Panzer Ace is going to be very happy that Simon has dropped it into the wall. Doesn't look like he's got any significant damage to the front end of his car. It seemed to be that it went in at an odd angle. Have to see on his next lap time. So UK Sim Racer is slowly but surely catching, but of course still over 10 seconds away, so it's not going to be too significant of a gap. UK Sim Racer did do a 158 that lap, and Simon did do a 208, so that's 10 seconds difference on that lap time, but of course Simon did put it in the wall. Have to wait for the next few laps to see on how Simon's pace is, but hopefully it isn't too compromised by that possible damage that he has. Oh, so is Simon. Simon's done it at the second chicane. No. Yep. Synchronise, there we go, that's the one. Oh, Simon's gone very, very wide, going out at Lesmo 2. UK Sim Racer might just overtake him just for the sake of it, or he may stay behind his teammate to be nice. We'll just have to see. I wonder why Pizza's gone in, unless he's put himself on the wall. So, Shane Pizza has come out behind Panzer Race, but of course that doesn't matter an awful lot as they are not fighting. But apparently there's a slow car, maybe not. No. Just the fact that there's 3 cars bunched up very close together. Pizza may have just dropped a place there, but it doesn't matter an awful lot with Panzer Race in 2nd, Elias in 7th, and Shane Pizza in 5th. They've just switched positions. Of course, there is no mandatory pit stop for this race, so it may have been that Pizza didn't fill the car up an awful lot, enough for the entirety of the race, because it seemed to be like it was quite a quick pit stop. The Reflaming Racer has now started the next lap, it seems. We'll do in a second anyways. So he is a fair distance in front. Can't see it off the sign, so I've just got to wait until he's lapped one of the other cars, so that would be quite... Never mind, Elias is off the pit lane. The Reflaming Racer is 50 seconds in front of Simon, and then same with UK Sim Racer, just over 50 seconds. Exactly, so UK Sim Racer taking advantage of that slipstream going down to Parabolica, so he's going to take advantage over the next straight as well, as they accelerate down towards T1 chicane. see the two drivers, different lines they're going through parabolic. One taking it quite wide, one taking it tighter as the exit, straighten out. But very, very close lap times, only 0.6 of a second between Simon and UK Sim Racer. UK Sim Racer taking a look down the inside of Simon, but decides to play it safe and just slot back in behind and continues the work. Oh gosh. Yep, he's had one of the worst races today, I'd say. Trigger is following him quite closely behind, so it's another car that's going to lap him very shortly. In the next couple of seconds into the braking zone. UK Sim Racer has dropped back to just a second behind Simon now, so he's just made a little mistake possibly. Simon's managed to find a little bit of pace as he is going through possibly some graining stages in his tyres. UK Sim Racer now just under 2 seconds of a gap behind Simon, so they're probably just playing it easy now as their teammates, and of course UK Sim Racer is leading the championship right now, he says. I need to check. So yes, UK Sim Racer leading the championship and Trigger in second. So Trigger's not going to get an awful lot of points from today's race, but UK Sim Racer is definitely going to take a handful more. But WeFlame Racer, of course, leading the race. He is going to take he's going to take the maximum points you can achieve during this race. .156.1 from Simon, 158.2 from UK Sim Racer, so either UK Sim Racer is just dropping back just to make a little bit of a gap to allow him to cool his tyres down, or doing something. Now gap up to just under 3 seconds between Simon and UK Sim Racer. Oh, now up to 3 seconds. Seems to be UK Sim Racer's made a mistake going through the Lesmos. Now 5 seconds, but no issues at all because, of course, 5th position is Sean Pizza and he is a lap behind almost of UK Sim Racer. He's only about 13 or 14 seconds behind him. In front of UK Sim Racer, I should say, but that's quite a significant gap. And that's car number 2 is Trigger, so I'm presuming Trigger's just gone off at the end of the second stream. May seem. Elias back in the pit lane, presumably for more damage. UK Sim Racer dropping even further back from Simon, now 6.3 seconds, so presumably Simon's either found some pace, or UK Sim Racer has lost an awful lot of pace over the last few laps. So that gap to WeFlame Racer from Simon is still 51 or so seconds. So WeFlame Racer still has that enormous advantage over everyone on the grid today. Syme going quite wide after Lesmo 2, but keeps on track and keeps it going straight at least. All that matters. That gap slowly decreasing between Syme and UK Sim Racing, now down to 5.5 seconds or so, as Syme is slower than UK Sim Racer on that lap by a second. Panzer still has a 10-second lead on Syme, so there's no issues there at all for those two drivers. And the Fleming race is still about 50 or so seconds in front of these two drivers here. Trigger setting a 2:01 and Refan Race setting a 1:54.5, so still setting very consistent and fast laps. Of course, his fastest lap of this race so far is a 1:53.5, very close to what we were seeing in qualifying, about 5 tenths slower than what he did in the qualifying session. Of course, by the end of this race, they've done 50 or so minutes of racing, and it's most likely going to be 27 laps or something. 27 laps or so, would you say, for the end of the race? Or close to, no, a bit more than that, isn't it? It's going to be about 30 or something. So far 23. Yeah, something like that. Let's say about 30, 33. Let's say about that. So with now 15 minutes left of the race, still no real big changes in the position, so still WeFlame Racer way out front with Trigger going off in front of him, who is still probably 2 or 3 laps down now. A good guess. Trigger is 2 laps down. And then Elias in 7th, who is 3 laps down. Panzer Ace in 2nd. Simon 3rd. UK Sim Racer in 4th. Sean Pizza in 5th, being a lap down as well, I think. Yep, being a lap down as well. Sean Pizza's a lap down. That is still pretty much round for the entirety of the grid as Trigger goes off again at Scari. Still not able to take a position, but he has taken the lap off his... Oh, no, he's 4 laps down. No lie. Ah, such a shame. He's doing so well. Doesn't seem to be that he's got too much damage. And the race is the Sean Pizza. So Sean Pizza's been lapped by Panzer Race there. So course, Simon's going to have another car to lap to get to his next rival, still being Panzer Race. So I'm now 18 seconds behind Panzer Race, who he was battling only probably about 10 or so laps ago, so it's quite a big change there, apart from the fact that Panzer is still setting very consistent and fast lap times of around 155-ish. Oh, his last lap was a 154, so 158, sorry. Peter not too far behind, even though he is a lap behind. Let's just see what this lap time is for Panzer, but it looks like his front end has got a little bit of damage. May have tapped the wall during some point of this race. This lap time for him is a 157.3, so a little bit faster than previous lap time, but not enough to catch Reflame Racer by the end of the race. Unless Reflame Racer has to come in for some damage, he'd have at most about what would you say, it's about 30-second pit lane here to get through. 25-30 seconds to drive all the way, or stop and drive all the way down, would you say? No, I never really think about the time it takes to drive, because if you just want to repair damage, you've got to think about the time it takes you to drive the pit lane and repair your damage. So at most you can really have about 20 or so seconds of damage before you're going to lose a position if it's Reflame Racer, with 55 seconds or so of gap between Panzer Racer and himself, providing he gets it dead on. If you 20 seconds to drive it, or 20 seconds of damage, 30 seconds to stop and start and drive, be pretty close, wouldn't it? Is he now? Yeah, definitely. The stage of the race, of course, tyres are going to be quite worn out now. So it is going to be a stage of making sure your tyres don't burn out, burst or anything before the end of the race. These cars are okay to run an entire hour of racing. With the specification of their tyres and the amount of fuel that they can carry, they're okay to do that. But it just depends on how long the drivers can keep those tyres alive. They're safe to do over an hour, all with UK Sim Racer off in the back and hitting the wall quite hard there, coming out of Ascari. Not sure if that's going to call for any repairs at all, but he's got plenty of time to do so if he needs to. Let's press the right button too. How far behind is Sharon Peach? I think Sharon Peach is only a lap behind, maybe. Yeah, I'm just looking, because if UK needed to pit, he is... Where is Pete's on track? He is almost at the Lesmos, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, he's at Lesmos now, so I'm guessing he'd have about a minute or so of repairs, or pit stop time for UK Sim Racer, so be quite close if he needed to or not. UK Sim Racer being the last person on track to be on the lead lap without being overtaken by the leader. So I guess he'd... Yeah, I was just going to say, well, He'd quite like to stay on the lead lap at this point without being lapped. Of course, We Flame Racer is only probably about 22 seconds or so behind him. He'd quite like just to keep the fact that he is on the lead lap. So yeah, you go for it now. Oh, sorry. And Elias has also gone off at the back. Yeah. Reflame Racer started in first, will finish in first theoretically. Panzer Race and Syme battled throughout the middle period of the race, and seems to be that they're gonna finish in the same places where they started, just a little bit further apart. Well, Trigger not too happy with his race, presumably, with being in 6th position. Normally up in the front pack, but today was just not his day at Monza. Neither was UK, with him being a fair bit off the pace as well. Finding the wall once or twice, so did Syme. Again, not having an awful lot of time. Yeah, he's probably quite triggered. Maybe, yeah. Oh, we're pulling too many jokes now. Yeah. I'm guessing Trigger's actually 3 laps down or so. 2 or 3. But I'm guessing Peter is a lap down as well, so. It's a lovely timing screen, is really annoying. So, what do I need to go on board with? So, we're on lap 28 for lead lap. Peter is 27 laps now. Oh, Trigger's gone off after thingamabobber, oh, head's gone blank. Ascari. The camera angle doesn't like it when people spin out. Yeah. So you just tell me what lap they're on. I think they're on lap 28, aren't they? Oh, Trigger hitting the wall again at Parabolica. 29, so Trigger is 4 laps down, so I presume Elias is 5 or 6 laps, so it's currently showing 6. I presume a little less than that. But Trigger's back in the pit lane to repair all that lovely damage he has just gained, or to sit in the pit lane for the end of the race. Oh, Sharon Beats is just having a little twitch at the end of Parabolica. So we'll just see on how many laps down Elias is when we come to the line as he goes off again. Just wondering about everyone with fuel, because of course top 4 are going to have to complete the whole of the race. All laps that trigger, not trigger, but all the laps that WeFlame Racer sets. So it's going to be quite a close one. The fact that UK Sim Racer is only a couple hundred metres ahead of WeFlame Racer at all times and positions of the track, so just have to wait and see what they do. UK Sim Racer just slows down, allows Weed past, and then goes with it. I don't know. A good time to do it. How long's left? It's about a minute, isn't it? So that's definitely going to be more than or less than a minute to get to the line. So unless he just puts on the brakes now, we don't know, because of course we can't see the amount of fuel. We can see everything else but fuel and tyres. So the Flame Racer will start another lap,
Leaders on final lap now.
and UK Sim Racer will just allow him past, so he does not have to complete another lap. So at the end of the race there will be 32 laps completed by the lead 3 cars of WeFlame Racer, Sime and Panzer Race in second. Completely wrong order of how to read that out, but hey ho. Time is only 26.3 seconds in front of WeFlame Racer. Slowly increasing, but I presume that he's just going to slug out and do another lap on top of what he's still got to do. So as we watch WeFlame Racer going through the second sector now, coming up to Lesmo 1 and 2 for the final time of this 1 hour race. Taking it cleanly, just getting a little loose on the exit there. As always, we'll get the top 3, as I said earlier, into the party to just have a quick chat. I know WeFlame Racer is never able to, because he has to leave immediately once the race is over. But we'll definitely get Panzer and Simon here just to have a quick chat. WeFlame Racer coming across the line now to finish the race in first position as usual. You can UK Sim Racer to come across in 4th. Who's the next car on track? Trigger. Trigger will be coming across the line in 6th with a heavily damaged car still. Presumably he didn't have enough fuel to finish the race, so he just had to do a quick top up. Oh, Trigger going off on Parabolica for the final time somehow. It's taking a little bit too much speed into it. Oh, chill out, Trigger. It's the last lap, just put your foot down slowly. Yeah, that would be a good guess. Yeah, Panzer Race goes past Trigger as he spins out across the line, as WeFlame Race is still doing donuts on the grid. Panzer Race to finish in 2nd, Sime coming around Parabolica now to finish in 3rd. Let's get these invites going out quickly. Sam coming across the line in 3rd position here. Always good to see these guys on the finish. There we go, and Pizza in 4th. Yeah, Trigger's put himself in the wall again. Oh, and Trigger's been disqualified. Driving the wrong way on chat. Evening. How was the race then?
Terrible.
You two were going right at each other throughout the first part of the race. I think I know why your tyres were pretty much dead. Just a little guess.
Yeah, it was really difficult to catch those slides. It was just really unpredictable. It's horrible.
We were both watching you at the same time. I don't know which way around it was. I think I was with you, Simon. You spammed before Lesmo 1, and Pansy, you span in between Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2, and we're just like, how are you two doing this at the same time? Like, please explain. Like, what were you two doing? Just not deciding to race. Just dancing around, yeah.
Just really hard to drive, just really hard to control those cars. Awful things.
Yeah, Trigger finished, well, I say he finished. He's now disqualified, but he did finish in 7th. So, he's gone backwards. Oh no, he finished in 6th, didn't he? So yeah, he finished in 6th with Toronto fan quitting halfway through the race just because he crashed too many times. But Elias did crash quite a few times, so did Trigger. And I think Pizza was in there a few times as well, once or twice into the pit lane. But I know UK went in a couple of times, being your teammate Simon. Not sure how much you two were battling back there, but UK did just drop off about 6 seconds in one lap or something. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No. I was sitting here thinking, well, what's a chance UK just... I was thinking UK Sim Racer sort of spanned, then stayed about 15 seconds in front of Weed, and I'm just like, what's the chance you just put your brakes on now and just say, oh no, my brakes are stuck. Ooh. Yeah, on the last lap. Yeah. So with it being Bathurst next week, what are you guys thinking about? Not enjoying it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's alright. Well, good racing to you all. So, we will see you all next week at Bathurst, same time, same place, at KFRL Twitch channel, and we'll see you all later.